So it feels like just yesterday we had the announcement that Crash Team Racing would be receiving a new game. Activision, they call it a remaster on their site, so we'll go with remaster. And it felt like it was so recent that we had that, and now it is finally out, and everyone has had a chance to play it. I got a chance to play it. I was actually gone over the weekend at too many games, so unfortunately I didn't get a chance to play it until Sunday. So I've been playing it quite a bit. I'm actually almost done adventure mode at this time. I'm kind of starting to wrap it up. I believe I'm in like the last, area, hub world area for the worlds. And I was kind of going back and doing some of the other things that you can do, like collecting relics and everything. But I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on it, my impressions on it, and kind of answer, is this the game that fans of the original, like myself, because back then it was if you had the PlayStation or you had a friend that had a PlayStation and you went to their house, you played Crash Team Racing. If you had a friend that had the 64, you played Mario Kart 64. Is this the game that Crash Team Racing fans wanted? Yes, and kind of no. It's complicated. So to get started, the game is actually at 30 frames per second. This is going to be a sticking point for a lot of people when it comes to racing games. I remember when Drive Club came out, and it was kind of, well, on the lead up to it coming out, it was 30 frames. People destroyed that game for it. Racing games tend to be more enjoyable at 60 frames per second, whether you're playing games like Mario Kart or Forza or Gran Turismo or even other arcade racing games, right? Generally, if you have a 60 frames per second experience, movement and changing direction, everything is going to feel better. Crash, unfortunately, is sitting at 30, and I'm not 100% why it's sitting at 30 for all consoles, unless they figure, hey, we have to keep it 30 across the board to keep it fair online. That's the only thing I can really think of when it comes to that. I don't believe they built it over the original game, kind of what they did with the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. I don't think they did it that way, although I'm still waiting to see what other places like Digital Foundry and everything will say about that. Maybe they have some reasoning from the developers themselves. But the Xbox One X and the PlayStation 4 Pro appear to be 1440p according to VG Tech, and to be honest, looking at it, I think it looks fine for what it is. It's a racing game. I'm not really looking at the flowers on the side of the road while I'm trying to, boost around the corner. On the Switch, it's 720p in docked mode, 480p in handheld mode. A little disappointed with the resolution in handheld mode from what I've seen, but I have spent most of my time playing on the Xbox One X, as Activision sent over a code on release date for me to check it out. But looking at it, the fur on the characters are still kind of off to me. I actually like the way that Crash looks on the Switch version, mostly because they took that fur away. I know it obviously helps with performance, but to me, that actually ends up looking like the better Bandicoot, but that's just me. Now, if you're a newcomer to this game, it is hard. It's a difficult game. It's not really set up to be a walk in the park. Even at medium difficulty, you're going to start losing pretty much right away. And I think this game could have benefited from some sort of hand-holding section in the beginning, essentially to teach you while you're playing the different mechanics. Instead, when you finish up a spot, I've noticed that they'll just read off some text to you like, hey, make sure you're collecting fruit because fruit will make you faster, and then if you get 10 fruit, it'll make your the weapons you pick up or the items you pick up that much stronger. For some reason, they tell you this stuff after you've beaten a race. Sometimes I've noticed also during loading screens, it does also show up, but it's weird that they don't have, like, just kind of designed it in and maybe designed in a level that maybe leans heavily on drifting and boosting. And that way you can learn it there. Or maybe they have one that leans heavily on jumping and hang time, and that would work. Or they just have one that's completely covered in boxes of fruit, and you start to figure out, oh, if I have more fruit, I'll go faster. Just things like that to kind of get people acclimated. Instead, they kind of throw you in and they say, hey, good luck. Good luck with that. But I actually like how hard the game is. I do. It's difficult in the beginning, I think, and then as you play the game, you start to learn and you start to get better. And I was getting to the point where some of these adventure things later on, I was winning first try. Like, I was winning by like 5 or 6 seconds. And then, of course, there is some randomness that might not go your way. Like, you'll get hit with like 5 rockets before the finish line, and then you watch someone fly by you. That's annoying. But I actually like having to earn that win in the game. It actually feels good. I don't want to say this is a Dark Souls of racing game, but it's similar to the feeling I would get when I beat a boss in Sekiro. You know, having to play it over and over again, it felt good to win. Sometimes I think it is good to not just have it handed to you and then you get kind of bored, because I see people say playing through this was boring because it was too easy. That's not really the case with Crash Team Racing, and I feel like a lot of people are going to not be happy about that necessarily. But I actually enjoy the challenge, and some of the courses are just a lot of fun anyway. So you're going to want to learn the courses, and you're going to want to learn how to drift. And drifting is good in this game, but I actually think it feels different than the original, to the degree that you can kind of control yourself a bit better in the original one. It seems like when you drift in this game, CTR, the remaster, the one's out now, you are more or less in almost a locked-in line. You can kind of figure it out a little bit. You can change course slightly, but you are set. You know, it felt more flexible in the original one, but boosting is very important in this game while you're drifting. Basically, when you drift, your meter will change at the bottom, it'll fill up, and then you want to hit, in my case, it was left bumper while I was holding right bumper and drifting, and I will boost. You do that 3 times, you'll do a really cool wheelie, and you'll go flying, and if you do that then over a boost pad and get that 4th boost, your guy rockets out of there. It's really satisfying to do that around a corner. You'll also want to make sure you're getting hang time when you have a chance, and this is actually where Tiny Arena, I believe it's called, comes into play. That is probably one of my favorite courses right now, and I think it has a lot to do with there just being action all over the place while you're playing it, and the corners are wider, so you can get these really nice boosts going through it, and I think that level would have been pretty good to get people used to how this game plays without punishing them too much if they miss something, because I was also able to catch the computer several times in that if I got hit with a rocket or something crazy happening to me, and of course you can't really fall off of it easily or anything. So I think that would have been a good initial stage to just drop people into, just to get them used to it. I absolutely love that one, by the way. I went through and did like time attack on it. I think it's just because there's jumping and boosting all over the place. It's just super fun. Like that with some friends would be really cool, like in a local setting, to just kind of run through that. The items are good. They're fine for the most part. I think the homing missiles might need a little bit of work, maybe a patch or something, because they seem to at times be very good at homing in. I mean, I've shot missiles like across like entire stretches of road, and it hits the person, and then I've shot one and it decided to just go left and just crash into the wall. I don't know why the homing missiles are so spotty with their tracking, and other times they'll just run into the floor. Now, I know there are ways to dodge them when you're playing, whether it's jumping into drifts and boosting at the right time, but it almost feels like the missiles just kind of go off on their own and will just do weird things. Otherwise, though, the other power-ups are all good. You might want to look up some of them and how some of them work, but for the most part, they work how you need them to. You'll lay traps, you'll throw bombs, you'll have like kind of this stopwatch that you hit and it'll just send a shockwave and knock everyone out for a second. It's fun, and I think most people, when they roll, they either want the invincibility or they want the homing missile. The homing missile is king, right? You might want to keep the nitrous around also for like the finish if you're getting close to it, but you got a homing missile, especially if you have the group of 3, and you're just going to take people out left and right in front of you, because if you have 3 of them, most likely one of them is going to hit. Oh, it's also good to use some of the items as like defense. They of course have the ones that like force fields you can put around yourself, but some of the TNT boxes and stuff you can actually drop just before a homing missile will hit you, and it will just stop it. So sometimes it's good to hold one for defense if you're in the lead, just to make sure you can keep that lead, because trust me, when you're in the lead and you're not that far ahead, everyone's looking to blast you with something, so keep that in mind. That also brings me, I guess, to the AI in this game, and I do have some questions for how some of these computer racers are playing, sometimes it does feel like they're just faster than you. And I don't know if that's designed in for if you put it on hard mode, because medium's already going to be a challenge for a lot of people. If you put it on hard mode, it is a wrap like 90% of the time. They're always faster than you. They are always hitting their boost perfectly, and very rarely do they mess up, like, at all. So you basically need to know the track completely, and you need to have a little bit of luck on your side to even have a chance to come in the top 3 most times. But I do have some questions about that. I don't know if they are like artificially inflating the difficulty by making some of the computers you're racing just in general faster than you, giving them better rolls for items. I do question that a bit. I think some balancing will come. Like, I think they will change up some of the difficulty in the background with updates. But there is also, I believe, an easy difficulty and everything. So if it is too hard for you, you can just throw it on easy and play through the adventure mode. I think medium, for me personally, is just right. Again, I like that challenge and I like that accomplishment, but trust me, I've seen the computer do some wacky stuff at times to win, whether it's getting that boost just at the right second right at the end, or they just happen to have a homing missile, you know, right at the last second to beat you. Trust me, that aggravation, I know it too well at this point. But again, the accomplishment of winning after trying over and over again is pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of content in the game to unlock. You have characters, cosmetics all over the place. As you're doing stuff in adventure mode, you will continue to unlock them. You do also earn coins, and they want you to go to Pit Stop to buy these things. And here's the thing about Pit Stop. I look at it and I see exactly where microtransactions could come into play if Activision wants to add them later, because it's on a timer system. These things will cycle in and out, and I do question that at times. I'm thinking, okay, is there going to be a day where people aren't paying attention to it as much, but people are still playing it, and like, it's not in the, you know, in the media or anything, because it's been out, people are moving on, and they just drop the ability to buy coins in there. I do question if that's going to happen, because it does look like a shop that I would expect in a live service game, like Anthem, for example, or maybe one of Ubisoft's Division 2, or just think of like those kind of games that have the ability to drop in microtransactions in places. And I wouldn't be shocked. I'm hoping Activision keeps away from it and they just leave it as it is, but just keep that in mind. The online's fun. I don't know. I played a few races just to try it. I'm just enjoying the adventure mode right now. There were some weird instances of lag, I think is what it was, because I would throw a bomb and it would teleport slightly to left or right, or kind of stop and then teleport. I noticed that a few times, but it wasn't anything game-breaking to me, and for the most part, it was online racing where you have this weird stuff that happens at times. But I was able to play the race, I think 2 out of 4, so 50%, not too bad, and it was overall fun. They did have matchmaking, and they also have with friends. But if they maybe expand on things like tournaments and some other stuff, I think they could just really flesh out the online play a bit more when it comes to that. So I guess a lot of people are going to ask, is it worth the $40? Although I also see that it's already dropped in price to like less than $30 some places. If you go to Walmart, it's like $33. So it's already not even $40. But would I buy it again, or would I buy it for another system, or would I just buy it in general? I would actually, because I did like CTR back in the day on the PlayStation 1, and I think this is still a good representation of it. I think it's very fun, but it's also not easy. So if you are frustrated easily and you're not really interested in learning the game to the degree that you would need to know some of the tracks, you need to know boosting better, you need to know how to, get the hang time just right, do hang time, drop into a boost with a drift, hit that 3 times, see if you can get lined up for a turbo pad when you go through that, and then hit some more hang. You kind of get the idea. You have to string a lot of stuff together to be able to win comfortably, or even compete in some cases. So if you're not really interested in doing a lot of that, you might not have a lot of fun. But I'm having a blast with the game so far. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope they continue to patch it, because some balancing things need to happen. I do think so. And I think some of the AI needs to be changed up slightly, just a bit. And I'd hope they add a little more to that online service. But let me know what you guys think about CTR down below. Are you enjoying it right now, or are you just frustrated with it? Because I can see both. I can see both sides of that. I can see why some people might be annoyed by it. But me, having a good time, gonna keep playing it. Looking forward to beating adventure mode, hopefully in the next day or two. And I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit more this Saturday night on the podcast. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.